And this morning on the news, I think it was this morning, maybe yesterday, they asked the federal prosecutor, why are all these kidnappings happening all of a sudden? I don't know. It just happens. Well, isn't it interesting that those two teenage girls that were kidnapped yesterday in California, did you hear about that?
Yes.
And what did they implement for the first time?
Amber.
Project Amber. What's Project Amber?
It's like a Big Brother system.
What is that you see on the sign that say traffic is congested or accident at exit such and such? Well, Project Amber then flashes up the license plate of a car that's kidnapping people or description of missing people. So they implemented the first time, and wouldn't you know, a couple of hours later they found them. Just before they think he was just about to kill them and bury them. Well, I guess if they programmed him, they would know what the next thing was going to be. Just like the Mexican man in California, who supposedly kidnapped and murdered that little girl while her grandmother was watching her. Never did that before. They felt he did before, but he was not convicted. And the little girl Van Dam, also in California, who was supposedly murdered by her neighbor, who was out with her mother that night. So what's up with all that stuff? Well, we'll get to that tomorrow. That's not an accident. Does it ever cross your mind lately that everything is happening in groups? That little girls are being kidnapped one after the other all of a sudden? And then something's being implemented right after? Or that CEOs and corporations are suddenly producing false information and immediately there's a commission and a federal agency about it. Immediately. Well, if you ever had a problem with the government and asked them to look into something, your great-grandchildren may not get an answer. But all of a sudden, they do things like that. Does anyone think about why all of a sudden there's like 15 events, all the same, happening in the same week? And all of a sudden there's a solution imposed. You have to think about that. That's the 2001 to 2003 activation that's occurring. Implementation of programs and control of the population. Create the situation, provide the solution you want to impose, but make it so that the population says, yes, we want that solution. The stocks go down. Everyone's losing money. Then they put the agency in and it starts to go better. Now everybody's happy. Yes, now everything's under control. All those bad CEOs will go to jail and pay for it. Meanwhile, while that's happening, they're bombing Iraq and you don't know about it. Troops are being massed in Jordan and Kuwait by England and the United States in preparation for an invasion, and you don't know about it. But instead they have congressional hearings on, should we bomb Iraq? Should we not bomb Iraq? What should we do?
Yes. A friend of mine was talking to a guy who's a consultant to the government, and he's saying, one of the things he was saying is that bringing out of mothball all the battleships, and no one knows that this is going on.
They will destroy or invade Iraq and then tell you about it. And then the stock market will go down for good.
When do you think they're going to do that?
It's happening now.
Yes.
They just bombed Iraq Sunday, they bombed it Tuesday, and for all I know they did it again today. Already there are troops. King Abdullah of Jordan is on his way here, or maybe he's here already, but there are thousands and thousands of troops in his country on the border with Iraq. Already in process. While the Congress is talking about and debating, and while this one's doing that, while that one's doing, and you're diverted with this child kidnapped and that thing happening, all diversions, while they're doing something else. Did you know, I put it on my website, I'll see who reads my website. This past week of the blue orb that was flying over Washington, D.C., and F-16s were scrambled, and then it shot off into space.
Yeah.
That was on the news. Why would that be on the news? When things like that are on the news before, they laugh at them. Now they scrambled F-16s. Why? Project Green Star. In process. Staged alien invasion. An asteroid's going to come to hit the Earth in 2019. And then they said, no, it's not going to hit the Earth in 2019. Then they tell you about an asteroid that passed the Earth within minuscule distance. That we didn't know was coming. Oh, but you can know something's coming in 2019, but you didn't know that was coming. And there's more that I need to finish with you tomorrow. But that's a foundation. Tomorrow we're going to discuss intricate details of how it's done and what you can do about it. And so at this point, I'll open up to any questions you have about what we've discussed tonight. No questions.
Yeah,
We're all under mind control.
This Marilyn Monroe situation, Kathy O'Brien had mentioned in her book, Transformation of America, that she was the first presidential model. But she doesn't, her background didn't quite fit with them programming her that way. So I don't quite see how that fit in, because they take certain types of people. Was her background so fragmented that they
Yes.
were able to do that to her?
Who did they use in the beginning especially? They used women who had a certain appearance and who had very unhappy home lives or backgrounds. Now, Marilyn Monroe came from a terrible family situation when she was young. And she really already had a fractured mind pattern or problems within her emotional construct that made her very easily programmable. Sorry? Yes, her mother died in a mental institution, and she came from poverty, from nothingness, and that's what they like. Because part of the monarch programming input is, you are nothing. You are nothing except what we give you. Loyalty to the program, loyalty to the programmers. And tomorrow, we will learn the difference between a programmer, a handler, and a controller. There are three different things. And I'm going to show you the diagram of that. And there's going to be some handouts tomorrow. And you're going to see the difference, or the characteristic or correlation between so-called UFO abduction scenarios or symptoms and ritual abuse or satanic ceremony. How they correlate. That's what you're going to see tomorrow.
You said that in Iraq, bombings going on, and when the stock market will fall after
When
they
that-
announce it?
Yes. Because it will be fear in the public. Need to protect your investments. What will happen with Iraq? Because it won't just be Iraq. It will also be Iran. Iran will help try to defend Iraq.
That's going to happen with the,
It's happening now.
I mean, the big wall.
Yes.
You had mentioned next June would be the total financial collapse.
Sorry?
You had mentioned next June would be the total
That's when
financial
the
collapse
new...
of the world.
The collapse will occur before, but that's when the new financial system will be installed.
Is this thing like, I've been looking at what was going to trigger the destruction of the dome of the rock, which you say is part of their agenda, and it still is, as far as
Oh
you know?
yes, has to be.
Is that somehow that by attacking Iraq, they'll have him launch missiles on Israel, and in retribution that's how they'll have the excuse
Yes,
to
and
bomb
one
the
of
dome
those
of Iraq?
one of those missiles will accidentally strike the dome.
Also, one of his own missiles or our missiles?
Well, whose?
I don't think it'll be Iraq.
What missile shot down that Russian plane flying over the Ukraine a few months ago? What's up with the Ukraine anyway? Why is everything crashing there? We just had a disaster at the air show. A few months ago they shot down a commercial airliner over the Black Sea. What's up with Ukraine? Did you see the film of that fighter jet, an Su-27 crashing into the crowd? Did you see the film of it?
I think it was a particle beam.
No, it was directly targeted and let go. The pilots ejected, they're safe. They aimed it and jumped. Yes. Yes.
So what is it about Ukraine?
That's what we're going to find out. At the same time, there were mining disasters in Ukraine that week. Someone doesn't like Ukraine.
Is the Ukraine where Chernobyl was?
Where Chernobyl was, and also the Filatov Institute, which was their version of the Montauk Project in Odessa, Ukraine. We'll talk about that tomorrow.
Stock market collapse.